Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. Google's biggest AI regret is hitting the newswire, a huge reminder that timing is, well, everything. A massive debate is kicking off over the true value of staying private, even as these massive startups command dizzying valuations. And get this, Vi-inspired robots are now strong enough to lift a human safely using the lightest touch. We are diving deep into today's trending information. We're sifting through the sources and pulling out the critical insights you need to know. The mission is simple. We synthesize all these nuggets into a high-impact deep dive so you can be the most informed person in the room. Okay, let's start where the money is, and today, that is squarely in the private markets. Our lead story comes from a fantastic clip shared by @HarryStebbings featuring investor David George. The core argument is pretty compelling. Why are the biggest, most important companies choosing to stay private?
And what's fascinating here is that the reason goes way beyond just, avoiding paperwork. George points out that the biggest strategic advantage for companies like SpaceX and OpenAI is just completely avoiding public market volatility.
And when you look at the examples he's citing, the scale is just, it's staggering. SpaceX valued at $400 billion, OpenAI at $300 billion. They're commanding these huge premiums while sidestepping all that daily scrutiny.
Right, that control is everything. But this brings up a huge question, a perception versus reality thing. While they claim it's about stability, private status inherently hides volatility through illiquidity, right? You only see a new valuation when they decide you do.
So we're back to that classic critique then. Is it genuine stability, or are they just insulated from judgment?
Precisely. And if you look at the other side, Mark Pincus's view is that there's almost no real upside to going public right now unless you absolutely need that massive, unavoidable funding. If you've got a decade-long R&D project, like, say, building rockets to go to Mars, avoiding investor panic over one failed test it's critical.
That makes the distinction between long-term focus and just hiding the wobble a lot clearer, and that desire for high speed and controlled branding. Well, that leads us right to our next story, which is a massive high-octane bet.
If you want controlled velocity and maximum global visibility without quarterly reports, yeah, you turn to Formula One.
Exactly. Max Karpus, who was an early Revolut investor, shared the news that Audi's 2026 F1 team is officially the Audi Revolut F1 team. That puts the UK fintech, with its 45 million users, right at the center of this huge global spectacle.
And this isn't just slapping a sticker on a car, it's a foundational partnership. Revolut is leveraging F1's surging appeal, especially with younger, tech-savvy people. The viewership numbers are way up, hitting over 1.1 million per race in 2024.
So it's a massive bet on cultural velocity. What are the implications of hitching their brand to a high-risk, high-reward sport like F1?
The implication is convergence. It's German engineering innovation from Audi meeting financial tech speed from Revolut. It's risky, sure, but it's calculated. They're betting that the exposure is worth the financial and regulatory volatility that comes with sponsoring a global race team. It just bypasses slow, expensive ad campaigns.
That's a fascinating way to look at it, using F1 to capture speed, just like private companies use their structure to capture valuation control. Now let's turn that lens to the AI race, where the big story isn't who's winning now, but who should have won 5 years ago. This comes directly from an interview with Sergey Brin, shared by @BarelyEye. Brin actually admits Google's biggest mistake was underinvesting in their own 2017 Transformer paper.
It's the ultimate cautionary tale, isn't it? Google invented the architecture, the very foundation of modern LLMs, and then hesitated. That hesitation, over compute scale and the potential risks of AI, it created the opening for OpenAI, who just snapped up ex-Googlers and ran with it.
It's the classic difference between winning the theoretical war and losing the product sprint. But Brin did note they made the right foundational bets years ago. He mentioned Google Brain back in 2011 and their internal TPUs, their tensor processing units, since 2013.
And that's critical context. TPUs are their custom chips, their specialized AI muscle. They won the infrastructure war. No one can really match their internal compute. But their culture, it's deeply rooted in academic R&D, and that caused them to prioritize research wins over shipping product, which let everyone else catch up.
That culture clash explains so much. But now, people are leveraging that architecture at an unbelievable pace. Let's look at the productivity numbers. Ryan Peterman shared an interview with Boris Cherny at bCherny, the creator of Claude Code. This tool, an agentic coding tool, allegedly boosted Anthropic's engineering productivity by a staggering 70%.
70%. When you hear a number like that, the first thing you have to ask is Is that real, or is that an optimistic claim? But even if you cut it in half, a 35 or 40% gain is a structural change.
So what exactly is agentic coding for someone who hasn't been following it closely?
It's moving past AI as just a co-pilot that suggests the next line of code. This is the AI acting as a full-stack engineer. It plans, it executes, it tests, it even debugs.
And Cherney's career advice lines up perfectly with this. He talks about side quests and the advantage of being underleveled. Basically, rapid learning is more valuable than rigid specialization right now.
Absolutely. The skills are changing faster than the curriculum can. And if 70% wasn't fast enough for you, we have the extremes of front-end development.
Yes, the speed shown by Ami from @AidenEbuy. The video is confirmed as not sped up, and it shows Ami building a perfect Apple website clone from a single prompt in under a minute.
The features are just remarkable. Natural language chat, live app previews, and a model router that can pull from the latest LLMs like Opus 4.5 and GPT 5.2. Prototyping goes from days to seconds.
Which brings us to the, let's call it the extreme end of rapid development, what at Yampoleg dubbed vibe coding.
Ah, yes, the vibe code.
Yeah.
We should unpack this because it sounds like a joke, but it's a real trend. It's basically a developer wiring an agent like Claude Code through WhatsApp and then building huge infrastructure using just voice notes and simple commands without ever touching a computer.
So he literally just had a conversation with his phone and ended up with, what did he call it, a stupidly large infra.
Exactly. And what's so wild is the convenience and the speed for iteration. But the critique is real.
Yeah.
You are sacrificing all architectural clarity for that speed. You end up with these black box code bases that are almost impossible for a human to debug. It's creating massive technical debt and, frankly, some serious security risks.
Okay, from the high-speed race for digital dominance, let's look at how that speed is translating into the physical world. At Rajampalai and at MIT, both detailed a remarkable breakthrough in robotics. A Vine-inspired, soft, robotic gripper.
Right, and the core challenge here has always been that trade-off between rigidity and softness. Industrial robots are strong, but they'll crush delicate things. Soft robots are safe, but they're often weak.
And the detail that just jumps out is its performance. It can safely handle fragile items, but is also strong enough to lift a 74-kilogram human. How does it do that?
It uses something called a loop closure grasping technique. So instead of squeezing an object, which needs high pressure, it transforms its vine-like shape into a closed, tension-based sling.
So it's more like a strong, padded lasso than a hand.
Exactly. And the pressure it applies is minimal, under 17 kilopascals or 17 kPa.
To put 17 kPo into context for us.
That's about the pressure of a light, gentle handshake. It minimizes damage while maximizing stability. The implications for elder care, for agriculture, they're massive.
From the tactile grip of soft robotics, let's move to the unseen infrastructure powering our world, semiconductors. At ST World shared details on their decade-long partnership with SpaceX.
This partnership is absolutely foundational to Starlink. ST Microelectronics co-designs the BiCMOS chips that go into the user terminals, the satellite dishes.
Byhouse, can you quickly explain why that specific technology is so critical here?
Sure. BiCMOS is a hybrid. It combines one type of transistor known for speed with another type, CMOS, known for low power use. For a satellite dish that needs high data speeds with minimal power draw, that combination is essential. And they've shipped over 5 billion of these chips. It just shows the huge role custom silicon plays in building out low Earth orbit connectivity.
5 billion chips. That's incredible. But all that tech deployment brings us right to the question of recycling and e-waste. At Engineering showed the mechanical shredding of printed circuit boards.
And this is such an important point. PCBs are basically compressed mines. They can contain up to 20% copper by weight and gold concentrations that are 40 times richer than mined ore.
But just shredding them isn't enough to get all that value out, right?
No, that's just the first step.
Yeah.
To get the 95% or higher recovery rates you need for real sustainability, you have to follow that with sophisticated chemistry. They mention hydrometallurgy, which uses liquids to dissolve and separate the metals. That's how you harvest all the valuable stuff.
All right, time for our culture and context check. Let's start with a foundational debate on work ethic, centered on John Carmack's legendary routine, shared by at Startup Archive.
Carmack's routine is just relentless, but also disciplined. 60 hours a week for decades, but with one hard rule: always get 8 hours of sleep, no all-nighters. His whole thing is that output rises until you hit exhaustion around the 12-hour mark.
That kind of flies in the face of the anti-overwork narrative we see everywhere now. What does the data say?
The data is, well, it's contradictory. One NIH analysis found peak productivity for most jobs is between 40 and 50 hours. But then you have the UK trial of 4-day weeks, which cut burnout by 71% while maintaining output.
So the lesson really is that it's less about the raw number of hours and more about the focus and recovery cycle that fits you and your work.
Exactly. Context matters more than just clocking in for a fixed 60 hours.
Shifting scales completely, StatsFeed gave us a huge geographical aha moment with an animation showing the true size of Mexico.
Yeah, we often forget how much the Mercator map projection distorts things. When you see it adjusted, Mexico is huge. It's the 13th largest country, bigger than France, Spain, and Italy combined.
And why does this matter geopolitically? What does that true scale really imply?
Well, the discussion around it is focused on nearshoring. Its scale, its access to both the Pacific and Atlantic, its huge labor pool. It suggests Mexico has the structural potential to rival major economies like China, contingent, of course, on governance improvements.
And finally, a quick pulse check on digital culture and physical awe. We saw some incredible AI work. One seamless video blended a man into iconic scenes from Game of Thrones, Stranger Things, Squid Game.
And for pure nostalgia, we had at No Solo Bits highlighting the 1989 Game Boy classic Super Mario Land. A lot of people forget it had those unique shooter levels where Mario flew a plane.
It's all about that sense of wonder. We saw genuine planetary awe, like JXA's footage of the Earth rising over the moon.
And that raw power of nature with the smiling volcano at Kilauea, Hawaii.
But we always have to contrast that wonder with real-world consequences. At AccuWeather posted that beautiful shot of Central Park covered in 2.5 inches of snow, a winter wonderland.
But that same winter wonderland storm triggered over 200 traffic incidents and, tragically, 2 fatalities on Long Island. It's that disconnect between the social media aesthetic and the reality on the ground.
That was a tremendous stack of sources today. We covered the volatility premium in private markets, the frantic race for AI coding dominance, and the high-stakes physical infrastructure connecting our world.
And if we connect this back to that extreme velocity we saw in the AI segment, the 70% boost from Claude Code, the sub-minute builds from Omni, this whole vibe coding thing, I think we can make a pretty specific prediction.
Let's hear it.
The future of enterprise development tools won't be decided by slow internal iteration. It's going to be decided by strategic acquisition. The big model providers, Anthropic, Google, OpenAI, they'll be forced to acquire these niche agentic coding tools to set a new internal standard. The speed of these vibe coding agents is just too disruptive to ignore. They have to own that velocity.
So they'll be buying the speed boost directly rather than building it slowly themselves. A fascinating place to leave it for you to explore.
Stay sharp.
That's the deep dive for today.